Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire, everybody. Now, we've already seen a couple of villages in the East Riding that begin with the term Eller. We've seen Ellerton and Ellerker. Well, here's another one. This is Ellerby. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome all to the parish of Ellerby, which lies between Skirlaugh and Coniston in the East Riding. It consists of two settlements primarily, Old Ellerby and New Ellerby, and yes, the implication that one came before the other is bang on. There are, or were, a collection of other tiny settlements within this one, namely Dowthorpe, Langthorpe, Oubrough and Woodhall. Of those, Woodhall was the most important. It was the site of the chief manor, whilst Oubrough and Langthorpe were the locations of granges relating to the priory at Swine. The names of the places here have some interesting derivations. Ellerby is Anglo Scandinavian, and it means Elfweard's farm. Dowthorpe means Dufa's hamlet, Langthorpe is Lambi's village, but Oubrough wins this contest hands down. It means Owlhaunted stronghold. You've just got to love those Anglian names. In essence, only Old Ellerby and New Ellerby now have any kind of settlement to speak of, but Oubrough's name lives on thanks to the local stretch of the A165. Whilst there are some unique buildings here, like a bright yellow pub and a cute little church in Old Ellerby, this one is all about the route of a former railway. Ellerby Parish contains no less than 3 old stations, all of which were on the Hull and Hornsea line. The railway history here lives on thanks to a second pub at New Ellerby. Let's get walking, people. We begin on the A165 heading south towards Hull from Skirlaugh. Our first landmark is Willow Pastures Country Park. This is sited right on the route of the Trans-Pennine Trail. It's a family-run luxury holiday park which opened in early 2018, being developed on a greenfield site. Owned by Tony Cook Limited, within its complex is the Skirlaugh Garden and Aquatic Centre, and So Gifted, one of the largest gift shops in the East Riding, selling unique brands that you won't find anywhere else. There's also So Delicious, a 74-seater restaurant. And that's not all. If you go up a track to the right of the main entrance, you're heading towards the site of Skirlaugh Station, which was on the Hull and Hornsea Railway. Also up here there's a pub called the Gardener's Country Inn. Its award-winning kitchen team provide a fabulous food service, and according to its website it does divine Sunday roasts. All in all, it sounds worth stopping for, doesn't it? Our start point in Old Ellerby is Crabtree Lane at a junction where the road bends to the east towards New Ellerby. It's here that we find a tiny church dedicated to St James. It was built in 1889 to designs by Smith and Broderick of Hull. It used to have a bellcote which was removed from the building in about 1940. Inside there's a World War I memorial tablet too. This is used as the venue for the local knit and natter group who get together on the first Monday of every month. We can form a circular route around Old Ellerby by taking this footpath to a street called the Green, but it's not an easy walk. It follows the edge of a field mainly, offering some good views, but in places it's very overgrown and not well defined. The last section is quite narrow as it makes its way through a gap between some houses, emerging back onto the road. Gotta tell you, that has to be one of the hardest public rights of way I think I've ever followed. Thankfully though, from this point onwards around Old Ellerby, it's all paved roads. Get in. The Green is one of only two main streets in Old Ellerby. It's a tiny place with a mixture of both the old and the new, property-wise. Now we're back onto Crabtree Lane. Turning right, you might be able to see a yellow speck in the distance here. Despite being painted bright yellow, this is the Blue Bell, a 16th century inn. This is the oldest building in Ellerby Parish. Popular with the locals, it plays host to a local darts team and has its own outdoor bowling green and a fishing pond too. Now to go back the other way through the small cluster of houses between the pub and the church and past the phone box. The parish notice board can be found directly opposite that, and that's Ellerby visited. The East Riding is down to 52. There's then a couple of attractive houses on the right hand side before Crabtree Lane becomes a lot less populated. We're almost now back to St James's Church and the junction where we began, but we're not done with this one yet. Okay, so we're all the way around Old Ellerby, but of course there's another part to Ellerby Parish, and that, as you can see, is New Ellerby. And this will be a separate walk. You'll get two maps at the end of this video, one for Old Ellerby and one for New. So here we are then in New Ellerby, and I've pulled up in a car park which is behind the pub here in this village, and I'm standing on a footpath. Plenty of walkers come down this footpath, but historically trains would have come down this footpath because this is an old railway line. So once again we find ourselves on the Hornsea Rail Trail. Here we're close to the site of Burton Constable Station. It originally opened in 1864 as Marton, but was renamed to avoid confusion with various other Martons elsewhere. It was then renamed again in 1922 to Ellerby to avoid confusion with Constable Burton on the Wensleydale Railway. Lamworth Lane, which is where we are now, was the road it stood on. The station closed in 1964 thanks to Dr. Beeching. That's when the last train passed by the local pub. This is the Railway Inn, which preserves the line's history in its name. It's owned by Sue Perkins, who bought it in 1999 when the building was derelict, following in her mother Edith's footsteps. Edith was one of the very first landladies in Hull and ran the Punch Bowl on James Reckitt Avenue and the Blue Bell in Sproatley. The rest of New Ellerby is a linear affair stretching north all the way to the hamlet of Whitedale, which is where we're going to begin next week's episode. It's there that you'll find Whitedale Station, which was the next one up the line towards Hornsea. However, Ellerby had another station itself, located between the two that I've already mentioned in this video. Perhaps the least well known of the three, here comes today's special section all about Ellerby's original station. If you head down Skirlaugh Road just to the north of Old Ellerby, you'll cross the route of the Hull and Hornsea Railway again, and with it you'll encounter Ellerby's first station. Originally named Ellerby and opened in September 1864, this was a market station and trains only ever stopped here on a Tuesday. The station had a single platform and the building was a 2-storey house for the station master with a single-storey extension at the southern end. The station master would have also been the crossing gate keeper. The building has since been extended and is now a private residence. Ellerby closed to passengers in July 1902, very early compared to many other stations on the Hull and Hornsea Railway, but it did remain in use for goods as Ellerby Siding thereafter. It would then be renamed to Wheelerby West Siding before closing completely in 1959, a full 5 years before the rest of the Hull and Hornsea line. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.